how do you sum up and what do you feel about RCB's chances? They've got a pretty good chance now. Hello, good evening. Welcome to yet another episode of Straight Bat with Gulf News and Mr. Cricket UAE. Unfortunately, Mr. Cricket UAE, Mr. Anis Sajan, he is not with us this evening. This is Gautam with you, and my guest for the evening is A.K. Satish, sports editor of Gulf News. Welcome, Satish.
Thank you. Thanks, Gautam.
Yeah. Now, first up today, of course, it was really a masterclass by Virat Kohli and Faf du Plessis, because they knew that if they need to get that 169 in good time, they needed a good start from them.
Correct.
Now so that happened. I mean, they really raised their game to that level, but we'll come to that later. How do you sum up and what do you feel about RCB's chances? They've got a pretty good chance now.
Yeah, I think it's straightforward now, Gautam. Delhi has to win. If Delhi loses, then they are out. And if Delhi wins, and hopefully they have a very good run rate, so they should go through. So it's a do or die game for Delhi, and given the chances, they should do well because they have got 2 wins in the last 2 games. But you never know Delhi which team we are going to see on that particular day, because some games they have played exceedingly well, and in some games they have not lived up to the expectations or lived up to the team potential that it had. And I think it'll be a wonderful game day after tomorrow.
Right. Yeah. Basically, all the last jigsaw will be settled on Saturday. Correct. Right now, what we have is just for the viewers. I mean, we have got Gujarat Titans. They stand unaffected because they are still on 20 points after their 14 games. Lucknow Super Giants have reached 18. Now, Rajasthan Royals, even if they lose tomorrow, they've got a very healthy run rate. They will be still on 16. Now, the issue, as Satish says, is between RCB and Delhi. So after that, Sunday's game will be primarily of an academic interest.
Correct. Yes. No consequence, because they both are at 12 points and they can't make it anymore.
Right. Now, first up, possibly what Hardik Pandya is going to say after today's game is that they wanted to check out on scenarios by batting first. But what do you make of that decision to try and chase a total on a wicket which showed a fair bit of grip early on?
But Gautam, I think if you look at now, with the wickets are so much used, I think the teams that's winning the toss is nowadays electing to bat, because the dew factor, more than the dew factor, the wicket crumbles more in the second innings. So the ball is gripping and it's not coming onto the bat. So I think most of the teams, if you look at in the last few games, they win the toss and elect to bat, because I think the initial part where they win the toss and put the other team into bat is gone, because the wickets are all now completely overused, and we are almost on the last 3 games away from the end of the league phase. So I think even tomorrow or day after, the teams that win the toss, I'm sure they're going to bat first, because at least you have some certain firmness at the start of the game. So as the game progresses, the ball will start gripping more. But again, the total was not enough probably, though Hardik Pandya feels that it was a par score. I would have said another 10-15 runs would have put more pressure on Bangalore. But again, when Virat Kohli and Faf, then they get into the group, no total is big enough for them.
Yeah, I mean, see, the thing is, that's what the Virat, it was very clear that Virat would take up the role of the aggressor in the power play. And he, even when there was a clear ploy to attack Rashid Khan today. Don't you think though he eventually had the last laugh, but it was little too late in the day. And it seemed that he was batting on a different surface. So what was the difference? Was it the intent? What do you think? Or that over from Shami, I mean, where he milked him?
Gautam, when Virat gets into his groove, basically what was missing was his confidence. The moment he comes out and if you look at him, he was not getting out to the opposition. He was getting out to himself, basically, if you look at.
Yeah.
So probably today, he didn't have any of those extra baggage. He must have come today free because the more importantly, what would have happened is his personal form wouldn't have mattered today. It wouldn't have been in his mind because he knows the team cost depends on him. So his thought must have been completely on the team. So he took away his form, which was good because it made him forget it. And then the moment he forgot and he was in his natural space, Virat is Virat. We all know what he could do.
Right. Yeah, and the other thing is, I mean, this is the unit. I mean, yes, they are still somewhat, that iffy thing is there because of that that horrible match which they had in terms of the run rate. But today the RCB whom we saw, I mean, they look quite potent. I mean, we know that there was a bit of an up and down campaign that they have had, but they looked quite potent in terms of their bowling attack as well. What do you feel about it?
Bowling, they were always good. Only thing is now they have more spinners like Maxwell and Hasranga. Of course, Hazelwood has been the best bowler for Chennai last year also. So unfortunately, he was not clicking almost every match, but still he is a very good bowler. Maybe the last game he gave away too many runs. So they had a very balanced attack this year, Gautam. Like if you look at, probably they had one of the best balanced attack in this entire last 10 years or so, because they used to have these one or two little holes where that would sink that ship. But here this year, thanks to the bad form of Kohli, or even not the best form of Faf, the players like Lomor and Patidar, they came and they filled in. So I would say this is probably one of the best teams in the last decade, I would say, because earlier they were only dependent on either AB, or they used to depend on Gale, or they used to depend on Kohli. So one of them used to perform, whereas it's a team game at the end of it. So if you don't get the entire team doing well as a unit, or someone taking the responsibility on a given day, it becomes difficult. So that way, I was surprised actually the amount of losses they had, and the place where they are in. They should have been topping the table, but nevertheless, they still are in with a chance.
Right. Yeah, I mean, so the thing is, so basically we can, we will have to certainly wait till Saturday before we decide on the final lineup. But the issue is, again, after this set of matches, you're going into two different, two fresh set of wickets, both at the Eden Gardens as well as Ahmedabad. Now, Eden Gardens, the kind of early feedback that I'm getting is they are trying to ensure, and that's what the trend had been over the last 5-6 years, that the kind of wickets that Mumbai had provided, they're trying to look at that, where there's a bit of both bat and ball. So there, if we look at Gujarat versus Lucknow Super Giants, and 3 and 4 we don't know as yet, where do you think this is leading to? I mean, I know it's still early days. Maybe we can do this discussion on Saturday, but where do you think it's going to lead?
If either Delhi or Bangalore, they come in, they will be more Gujarat. Anyway, they are quite secure in the sense they have seen the worst, and they have come out of the worst times over the last 14 games which they have played. They have sometimes come back from literally on the verge of from the jaws of defeat. They have come back. For example, Chennai game, where they were completely down and out, and Miller played a brilliant knock. So, and they have many players, like not just Hardik Pandya. If Hardik is not scoring, Tewatia is scoring. If Tewatia is not scoring, Miller is scoring. If both of them are not scoring, someone else is scoring. So they have a complete team, and they have seen all the pitfalls and everything. So they are a well-rounded team in that sense. And I would say somebody like a Delhi or a Royal Challengers, because they have also struggled to reach where they are. So I would say these two teams will have a slightly upper hand than maybe Lucknow Super Giants. And if at all Rajasthan Royals come in, I see them, they are having a big disadvantage, because they have been riding on Josh Butler's performance all through, because the 5 or 6 games he single-handedly won for them with the knock he played. So that becomes a bit crucial there in the knockout phase, which we have seen in the past. Gale used to score runs in tons in the league games, but the knockout pressure could put more pressure on the player who's been performing single-handedly. then that will work as a disadvantage.
Right. I mean, there is a bit. You're right in the sense there is a, history always says that the team that eventually wins, they don't have a completely smooth ride right through, and
Yeah.
there will be the bumps. They will come back and possibly peak on those 2 days where it matters. I mean, we have seen this happen with Mumbai, with Chennai so many
Chennai.
times.
And even
Yeah.
Kolkata, I think once
But-
when they won it, they came back from the brink, I think.
They did. And last year was a very good example when, who thought that they would make the final.
Final, correct.
So yeah, so that's it. Actually, it will be a pity that one of them, I mean, be it RCB or Delhi, may have to
No, but
end up
Gautam,
as the 15th.
that there is an important game for RR tomorrow against CSK. But they shouldn't. Rajasthan should not lose big time. Even if they lose, they should ensure that their run rate doesn't slip too low. This thing down. Of course, they have got a +3, which is way for too much for them to slip. But they shouldn't be in such a stage where they should like not come into the 4th or 3rd. So they should also ensure that they need to win, and that win also will help them going into the playoffs. Obviously, you need to have a victory.
Yeah, they need to.
at the-
Nothing can be taken for granted except those first two. Yes, that's right. So yes, that's what it is. And you have already spoken a bit about tomorrow's game. But yes, Rajasthan Royals versus Chennai Super Kings. Chennai are already looking at next year's campaign. But then, having said that, they can spoil a party or two. Now,
true.
what's your take that whom do you see going through in tomorrow's game?
I would say Chennai, because they have nothing to lose, and with the Royal Challengers already on 16 and Delhi, like almost close to just one win away from their last match. The pressure is more on Rajasthan to at least maintain the run rate and keep their position. So I would say Chennai has an upper hand, and of course that's my favorite team. So I'll go with Chennai.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if you ask me, I think that definitely Chennai has this, the weight. It depends on, how they're performing on a given day. But yes, I mean, on the note the campaign is ending, it's very difficult to see Chennai or Mumbai pulling something out of the woodwork over the next 2 days. But if that happens, that will really make this last stretch even more exciting.
And Gautam, you have to also look at one more thing. With ever since the last set of matches, last 3-4 games, Butler has not been scoring because the wickets have slowed down. The ball is not coming onto the bat the way he wanted it to come. So he's a brilliant timer of the ball, but the ball is not coming on nicely. So they have to be really look at tomorrow as an case in point where if he fails, they need to still go ahead and win the match tomorrow. That will give them the confidence going forward to the playoffs.
Right. So that's about it. I mean, on that note, we will wrap this up tonight. And again, we come back tomorrow after the Rajasthan Royals versus Chennai Super Kings game to take a look at, how next day's game will pan out and also about next week's action. Thank you so much for joining us. Good night. See you tomorrow.